Okay, so you want to know something about engendering and nurturing meaning. So study design is really clear. It's got this whole dot point on engendering and nurturing meaning in it. And it's important to note that when they talk about engendering and nurturing meaning, they're actually talking about the specific expressions of a belief from a tradition you've studied. So these words are going to be used in conjunction with your own study on the tradition that you've been working at and the beliefs that you've been looking at. Before we can get too deep into it, you have to know what the words engender and nurture mean. Quick search on Google or anywhere else will find you a couple of definitions, and here's two provided for you. The first one, engender, the second one, nurture. Could be using words like produce, cause, give rise to, nurturing, supporting, and encouraging. Not difficult to find those definitions. But what does that actually mean? Here's a bit of a visual to help you maybe. When we talk about engendering and nurturing meaning, we might be talking about, say, a plant or some kind of growing that you're doing. If you want to actually create crops or if you want something to grow, first thing you need to do is actually put seeds in the ground. That's engendering. That's actually adding something in that wasn't already there. It's producing or creating. You're putting a plant in the ground when it wasn't there before. Nurturing is what you do along the way. That's when you water it, you add fertilizer to it, you help it to grow and to become better and bigger. So we talk about engendering and nurturing, we're talking about adding something that wasn't there already and helping something that is there to grow and develop. It's always good to have a couple of synonyms on hand. So here's a couple of synonyms for engender and nurture. You can also go on to Google yourself and go to any good thesaurus and find some synonyms that you like. But here's 4 for each that you might like to write down or keep handy. It's always good to use synonyms for the words engender or nurture. That way it doesn't sound like you're kind of repeating yourself over and over and over again in your responses. If you keep saying engender and nurture in every single sentence, it sounds pretty boring. Remember, the words engender and nurture are verbs in this context. So they create something, they lead to something, they develop something, they nourish something. Just like any other verb, it's doing something to something else. So let's look at a really basic example that wouldn't get you very far. Here's a really simple example of a symbol in the Catholic tradition, and the words engender and meaning are sort of slapped into this response in the hope that it's going to score marks. The problem is, we just thrown the words engender and meaning into this, and we really haven't said anything about exactly what meaning is engendered or what is created. I could take this sentence and replace the symbol with any other symbol, or replace it with any other aspect in any other tradition, and it still wouldn't tell me anything about that particular tradition or that particular symbol. So we're going to focus on the word meaning next. When we talk about engendering and nurturing meaning, what are we actually helping to create or helping to grow? Or another way to put it is, what makes my life worthwhile or valuable? And these are the 5 dot points that I like to refer to. These are just made up. Does it give my life purpose, a reason to exist? Does it give me a way to live my life that is ethical or moral? Makes it a good life worth living? Does it give me answers to the big questions of life that tell me why my life is important? Does it connect me to an ultimate reality that tells me who created me, what makes my life valuable? And does it make me happy? Does it make my life worth living? If you can do one of those 5 things, purpose, living, answers, connection, or fulfillment, PLACF, PLACF, then it might be adding some value or worthwhile meaning to my life. So let's go back to this. The symbol of the crucifix, it engenders meaning and lives adherence. We're going to replace these 2 words, engenders and nurtures. We're going to take out engender and we're going to use one of our synonyms. We're going to take out meaning and we're going to use one of our PLACFs. So generate, create, bring about, lead to, purpose, living life, answers, connection, fulfillment. So here it is again, but with those words replaced. This time we've got leads to an understanding of purpose. Now we're heading in the right direction. We've got to consider though, what exactly do we get out of the crucifix that gives purpose in life? So what is it about this crucifix that brings about purpose? Now, purpose is the reason or the point or the end goal of life. So for us in the Catholic tradition, we can say that that purpose is bound up in being with God in heaven. And that comes through Christ's sacrifice on the cross for salvation of humanity. And you look at this as compared to what we started with, and this, it really is giving some kind of creating meaning and an explanation of how that particular aspect, that particular crucifix, is creating that meaning. So I want to suggest to you that you can use 4 little steps. ESPY, ESPY. You've got the expression, whatever it is from your tradition, whether it's the text that you name, like the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the Nicene Creed, or a symbol like the crucifix, or a ritual like the Eucharist. You pick a synonym for engender and nurture. You pick one of plaque F, purpose, living life, answers to existential questions, connection to the ultimate reality, fulfillment, happiness, and then you tell me how or why that expression does that, plaque F. Here's 2 more examples for you to have a look at and take away. See if you can find each of the ESPY, the expression, synonym, plaque F, and the Y in each of these 2 sentences, and why you think they would be good sentences in a question about asking how your belief and its expression is meant to engender and nurture meaning. If you can find all 4 of those parts in each of those sentences, you should be reasonably confident that's going to get a mark. So, that system, ESPY, ESPY, expression, synonym, plaque F, Y. If you can connect an expression from your tradition using a synonym for engender and nurture from plaque F and explain how that particular expression does that part of plaque F, you are well on your way to being successful.